faith in love, yeah, that's the deal. WC and Maria, bringing that glow. Tuesday nights is the show you gotta know.
Love ain't a moment, it's a movement we found. Beyond the vows, where the real talk sounds. From single to married, decades deep. Together we rise, where the promise is key.
Lessons in laughter, faith in the mix. Every story a bond, every challenge a fix.
SKST,
Tune in, don't be late.
7 p.m.
Fan trip.
Let's elevate. So come vibe with us.
Well, hey, good evening. Good evening. It's that time again. We're a little bit behind, but it's that time again. You are tuned into Beyond the Vows with your host and the hostess with the mostest. That one right there. And you know what? You all right? I always had that effect on her like that. Look, you know when there's some writing behind, you see that writing right there? Is that our signatures? Oh, I can't see it. Anyway. So welcome to Beauty Beyond the Vows. And we come to you every Tuesday night here on SKST TV Radio Podcast Studios here in the beautiful city of Virginia Beach. And honey, how you feeling?
Okay.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
You're not very talkative.
No, not tonight.
Yes, you gotta be.
Mm-mm.
Yes, you have to be. You have to be. So first, just want to tell you about our sponsor, which is deafchildhope.org. Deafchildhope.org. And that is our wonderful, wonderful organization where we get to partner and sponsor children all over the world who are not only in poverty, but they are also deaf. Your contribution, your sponsorships will help these children to learn sign language so they're able to communicate with their families, with their friends, with their communities. And we do have our own child that I believe Comey is almost turning 16 now. It's been since last year that we sponsored him, and he is in the Congo. So again, go to deafchildhope.org and see what beautiful child you will be able to sponsor today. Okay. I just said we was here in the beautiful city of Virginia Beach, and I believe we got a great viewer that's watching us. Our nephew should be watching us tonight. Israel leader, he should be watching us tonight. You know, he's a bomb diggity. He really is. But you know, first, honey, you know I like the news, right? You know, you wake up and 2:00 in the morning. I'm looking at CNN or News Nation,
And I can't sleep. Yeah.
I don't know. I just love the news.
It's just too much.
You know,
Depressing.
So let me ask you a question. What are some things that you like that your spouse doesn't necessarily not like, but is just not into it? So what is it about the news?
Well, the news now is depressing, and I'm tired of listening to it. You know, I mean, I would rather go to bed on the pleasant side than to go to bed listening to lies and lies and lies and lies again. It doesn't do anything for me.
Well, we do listen to the Tonight Show. That's fun, Tonight Show. And
sometimes everybody up there is not.
Well, you know, I always change. It's like when Jimmy, he does his bits, and then when he starts bringing his guests on, we may turn it to Food Network.
Yeah.
You like Food Network?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to get sleep too.
Yeah, but you always ask me, why are you always looking at food?
No, why you always looking at the CNN is what I complain about because I'm sick of that mess. Every time you turn
Well,
around,
I mean, I like to
it's
be
too much.
informed.
Well,
You know,
it's lies that are being shared, and I don't want to go to bed thinking about it, waking up to it.
yeah.
That's a
Well,
bit much for me.
well, we got one of the biggest liars ever.
I'm just saying,
The occupant of the White House.
I don't want to have to do that every night.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but say the form, just like the other day, Sunday, we went to the UPS to take. I went to take something back. Then we went to the Dollar Tree afterwards, and that same complex that we were at that night, there was a shooting and 7 people got shot.
Yeah.
And I always think about that. There's been things that have happened at places where we were. The Walmart shooting in Chesapeake, when you worked at the hospital, and I was just, I think I dropped you off and then I stopped by there to get some stuff and went home. And the next thing you know, you hear there's a shooting, in there. So that's one thing we always look out for, is thanking God for his protection, but there's just so many things going on there. Gas is just outrageous. I've never seen it, and where we live now, that gas is $3.99. And I'm like, wow, it's just as crazy. So I just ask you folks, just look at what's going on in your community, what's going on nationally. You need to be able to make real good decisions when you're asked to do certain things. Like now they're asking us to vote on this redistricting here in Virginia, where the Republicans are trying to change the districts or add districts to their benefit so that they'll keep their majority in Congress for the next 2 years. But we can't go through another 2 years of having somebody in there who's not being checked, who's not being called out, and I just, it's just bad that everybody has to suffer, from what's going on. The TSA workers, that's bad. We had a plane crash, up in New York. The plane ran into the fire truck. You saw that, didn't you?
We talking about CNN stuff, so we just beyond the Vows. So make it quick.
Anyway, just be informed, folks. So look, usually either Mondays or Tuesdays, we have this same conversation every week. What are we going to talk about? So, but we have some, next week we're going to have Pastor Byron and his wife back next week, which is going to be really exciting. We had a fun time when they were here the first time. So what I really wanted to talk about tonight, if it's okay with you, I want to talk about effective communication. Okay, effective communication. And we was on our way here, and I was reading something to Maria, and she said, "Well, that don't work for everybody." And I was like, "Why are you always negative? Everything we say is not going to work for everybody." Okay, these are just some suggestions that you try. I mean, there's so many things that you could try, and you do what works for you. Whether you're a married couple, whether you're somebody you're engaged, or whatever, you do. It's just trial and error. You do what works
what's
best for
you.
Huh?
What's best for you? Have you tried any of this stuff?
Yeah.
You have? When?
What do you mean when?
I'll just ask a question.
You don't know? Mm-mm. See, call me out again on the air.
No, I'm not
calling you out. Yes, you are.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying, you want to talk about stuff.
But I don't always have to have done everything that I'm suggesting. That's why I research and I'm finding different things that we can do. So I said something to you about topics, exploring, and how to do. So we talk about icebreakers. Okay, you actually need icebreakers in your relationship.
What's the need for an icebreaker? Because
like sometimes you just can't blurt out something, and the person that's receiving it be all caught off guard. You know what I'm saying?
But
you got to be able to.
So you're saying, in order for me to have a conversation with you, I got to do an icebreaker in order just to talk instead of just talking.
I mean, no. If it's something deep, you just can't just go wham, hit you with. You can't just hit them with it. You know, you gotta kind of prepare you either way for a question that's going to be asked of you. That's going to make you think a lot, because a lot of things you just can't answer right away. And if you don't answer it, silence does not mean you haven't heard the question. It means that person's really trying to, you know, digest it, you know, because, you know, I think one time, I think we were asleep, and I guess you don't think I was asleep, but you asked me something in the middle of the night, something about life or something like that, and I'm dead asleep. So I'm trying to think about what it is you had just asked me, on top of I'm still dozy, you know, stuff like that. So, but the other part we were going to talk about was how past relationships can influence your current or future relationships.
In what way?
And how that? Well, I mean, like if you've had a bad relationship in the past, okay, and it really damaged you, do you take that into a new relationship? And then when you see something or behavior that was like that, do you immediately regress?
Yeah.
You know, you immediately regress. Why is that?
Yeah. Because it's a trigger for me. And so I have to keep my eyes and ears open, because I can't trust that is going to not ever happen to me again. So I have to protect my heart. But
do you like give it the benefit of the doubt and say, well, I'm gonna let that pass, but or just I'm gonna let it pass, and that was just something that just happened?
Maybe the first time, but if it happens a second time, no, I can't let it go.
So how do you think people should deal with triggers?
Well, first they have to talk about it, and they have to be in a safe space, and someone has to make sure that they're safe when they talk about it, not trying to bash nobody or make anybody feel bad.
Safe, like?
I'm talking about in a relationship when there's two people. They should be able to communicate. They should be able to express how they feel without the other person getting upset, getting angry, taking it out on them. No, that's just how that person is feeling. It doesn't always necessarily mean that it's you that's doing it. So you have to be able to make people feel safe. I mean, a woman that is a wife is not going to feel safe around her husband. Every time you turn around, she's trying to say something and they're yelling and screaming. That's not a safe space for her. She's not going to want to tell you her innermost thoughts or her feelings. Or you got to be able to allow her to be able to express herself, to be able to share what's on her heart. Because apparently you don't really know anybody, that person may not even know what's on their heart, so you got to be able to listen. You got to be able to listen with understanding. You may not always understand, because sometimes, wives, we don't always understand. And men, I know sometimes you don't always understand, but it's a point about listening. Somebody got to listen and somebody got to talk. It's just up to you what you do with it. Don't make the man feel bad because you express yourself or because he expresses himself. Let him have that moment and that space.
Yeah, and everything needs to be reciprocal. And
right,
and then we should not get to the point where we can't be told anything.
No, never that.
Yeah, I mean, like if I'm pointing something out, let's say I'm pointing something out to you that I'm trying to let you see something that, whether either way it goes, should always get our defenses up that you're being attacked. Because a lot of times we're saying something to each other or pointing out something that we may not even know that we're doing.
I
And
understand.
it's good to point it out and then allow, rather than bashing them with that they're not doing it right, is make your point, say what you have to say, and let it marinate with the person who you talk, who you're talking to, and let them figure out, am I really doing that?
But it's all about delivery,
Mm.
because some people don't know how to talk to each other. And that's true. If it's something that you want to say, just like I'm talking in a mellow voice, I don't have to raise my voice to have anybody hear me. I'm talking in a mellow voice. So it's my delivery. If I come off nasty, disrespectful, and just terrible, no one's gonna want to hear me.
To people who respond in the spirit that is given.
It's supposed to, because a lot, like I said, a lot of people, what's wrong with them today, and they don't know how to communicate. They don't want to communicate.
Hold your hands up like that. Let me see that. Y'all see her nails? It looks so good. She did them herself. She don't go to what you call it and spend about $1,000 on nails.
Oh, please.
Homegrown, home.
Ain't no homegrown.
I mean, home done.
God help her.
It's not. So, what are some other things you think that people bring into relationships, or form relationships, or not even that? What people may see, like a child may see how their parents did. Is there sometimes you think that what they've seen throughout their childhood or whatever, they bring that into a relationship?
You said what now?
Like children, they see their mom and dad, they grow up and mom and dad act a certain way, and the kid is around that all the time. Do you think sometimes when they get as adults, they bring back what they were trained in or what they were born?
Yeah, that's why it's important that you raise your child right, and then let them see love in the home. Let them see compassion in the home. Let them see the husband loving his wife, and vice versa. They need to see that, whether they 2 or whether they 82 or however long it is. Let them see that. If they don't ever see that, then they, in the back of their mind, they're questioning, is this person really good for the mom or dad? I've had some children come to me and even, they question their own parents' relationship. And I'm like, Lord, what am I supposed to do with this? I don't even know you like that, But I mean, what do you do? But you have to set an example, and that's very important.
Yeah, because stuff that you're born with, like my mother was very, very loving. She was always a hugger. She would always kisses on the cheek, and she was just so affectionate. My dad was the opposite, and I don't know if we question whether my dad really loved us. I mean, he would grind. He would make sure we had what it is we needed and things like that. And then later on, I found some things about him that I just didn't like. So
do you think you got some attributes from him that's affecting you today?
Yeah, I've had. Sometimes, he didn't always tell us that I love you. It wasn't until like maybe a year or 2 before he passed away, he started, kind of, expressing us. So the way we kind of grew up was the man just does what they got to do to take care of the family. You don't have to be emotional. You don't have to be vulnerable and stuff like that. I think that's the way that's what we experienced. But like I said, my mother was on the opposite side of that, which there was a part of us that was, really compassionate and, that kind of stuff. And I did say after a few failed marriages that I would, not somebody has to break the cycle.
Have you broken it?
Somebody has to break the cycle.
So what did you do to break it?
I mean, I didn't want to do like my dad did. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I don't think nobody else deserved that. Like I said, the last 2 years before he died, our relationship was great. But, and I can't say it was too late, but I did, I did have a good. I was able to be emotional and cry at my dad's funeral because if I don't think if we had not reconciled, I don't even know if I would even go on. You know,
crazy.
but like I said, it's just you got to be determined to break the cycle. Are we gonna fall back every now and then? Yes.
But let me
Are
ask
we
you a
gonna
question,
backslide
though.
every now and then? Yes.
Backslide.
Backslide to something, you know, a behavior that we said we would never do. You know what I'm saying? And we can have a temporary lapse of judgment and stuff like that. But just as long as they don't stay in that state.
But you know what? And that I think that's the issue, that when someone brings up something, just like you were saying, and bring it to your or to their attention that they are doing, and they continue to do it, what does the other party do? Because what happens is, how many times, like if just using us for an example, how many times you're going to tell me that you don't like carrots and I'm still cooking carrots? Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm like, how many times it's going to really start saying, well, Maria, you know, I'm allergic to it, but you still keep cooking it. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, like, how many times do you have to keep saying it before I do what I need to do? Because number one, if you're allergic to it, why would I even serve it to you?
Well, you don't, and I'm glad you used that example because there's something that in our reading that kind of addresses that.
Okay.
Okay. But like I said, memories that you've had in the past and things like that, you know, you just got to figure out what's important. And that's why it's important to communicate the need, you know, my needs, your needs, you know, everybody else's needs. So,
I want to go back because you got to answer that question and this one I'm about to ask. I talked with my son the other day, and they were talking to me about being emotionally available, being vulnerable in the relationship, that we can't be afraid to do that. And these are young people. They are talking about being vulnerable and being emotional, available to their partner. And that is really important. Without the vulnerability, I mean, the person is there with you. They promise to stick with you through thick and thin. So what is it about yourself that you don't trust? Because if you should be able to understand that the person that is with you, if they're being vulnerable about everything about them, then why can't we be that? Why can't you be that? You know, we was talking about that, and it's just so important because if I'm just using us as an example, if I'm your helpmeet and I'm supposed to help meet your need, how can I help meet your need when I don't even know what you need? I'm not a mind reader. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be able to say, and even there are going to be times, even in a relationship, where you feel scared, you feel nervous, you feel whatever. It doesn't take away from who you are as a man. It doesn't take away from me for who I am as a woman, because all of us have experienced fear. We've experienced being scared. We're experienced of not even knowing how to do things, all of that. But we can't be afraid to even speak that so that our partner will understand where we are. Because a lot of times the reason why we're not getting it together like we should is because we don't understand where our partner is. And so in order to understand where they are, like I said, we're not mind readers. You can't read my mind and tell me how I feel, right?
But did you ever tell me that we should have a certain connection, that I should know when you're either when you're sick or when you're upset or when you're been thought about something?
Oh, or I'm
Is that the
saying
same
that,
as mind reading?
no, that's not. No, I'm saying that we should be so connected in our relationship that you should be able to pick me up. You should be able to know when something's bothering me, and then you come and say, "Hey, Maria, you're not acting the same. What's bothering you? I don't know what it is, but I know something."
But can that also come from like if like for instance, if that going back to the carrots, okay? If I've told you I don't like carrots, you keep making them, and every time you put a plate of carrots in front of me, I'm just sitting there mad, not talking and stuff like that, then you would know why I'm mad,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, because if you keep saying it and I'm still doing what you asking me not to do, that's a problem.
Right. But I'm talking about this mind reading thing also has to not so called mind reading, but
Discernment.
not even discernment, because discernment to me is something kind of spiritual, kind of
But
But I'm talking about if I know something that you don't like
and you're doing it
and
anyway.
do it, then I already know what your response is going to be. So I don't even have to ask you what's wrong with you.
But no, that's being you're not being considerate of me when that happens.
No. You were talking about this mind reading, and we need to know each other.
Right. So
And,
if you,
but certain things you know because of history.
so okay,
Like,
if
that's
there's
the
something,
separation right there.
but no, I don't agree.
Yeah, I'm saying if I already know you don't look, if I know you don't like me to leave the toilet seat up, and I leave it up.
You're just being defiant, and
No,
you're just
no.
doing
Even,
things the way you want to do. You're not considerate.
But I'm saying I
That's
don't
not
have to be in
consideration.
tune with you because I already know that you. I'm saying being in tune with you versus what we actually know that's going to cause,
I don't agree. I don't agree, because if I kept doing something that you don't like and you ask me not to do it, what happens? You'll get upset, right? And what else will happen? If I kept doing something that you asked me not to do, and I constantly did it, and you know what I did, you already know, but I'm still doing it.
Right, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about you said we're not mind readers, okay? You don't have to be a mind reader to know that something that upsets you or upsets me or upsets them. That's different than being in tune with each other and feeling when something's wrong. Even if there's nothing going on, you are saying something in me should say, like you just said, Maria's not acting the way she normally acts, And you could be dealing with something that I have totally no knowledge of. Right? Right?
I guess.
Just like a soap opera pause. Like a soap opera, they ask a question and also they look at the camera. So I'm just saying there's a difference. But all of it goes back down to communication. Communicating the needs of each other. And the other thing is not judging. You can't judge me for not liking carrots.
No.
But the thing is to find out why I don't like carrots.
I just told you the answer.
Why?
Because I told you, if I'm serving you carrots and you said, Maria, you already know I'm allergic to them, and I still keep doing, I gave you the answer. But I'm still doing it anyway. You probably don't have your listening ear on, but I did say that. So if I'm serving you something that is allergic to you, then I know that this is going to make you sick. Well, why would I keep doing it?
Right, right. But you don't have to be in tune with me to know that.
But if you've already shared that with me, just like if I share something with you and I'm like, hey, can you not do so and so and so, but you do it anyway? Then, let me put it on myself. If I kept doing the very thing that you asked me not to do, knowing that you're allergic to it, then how would that make you feel about me?
You would be one of the, like the African videos where they be putting poison in people's food, and the maid says, "Change it, change your drink."
You ain't answer my question.
I would have an issue.
You would have an issue, and you would be upset with me,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't be. I would be like not considerate of your feelings, right?
Only thing I would be feeling good about is you wasted your time cooking carrots, because I ain't gonna eat it.
But that's
Actually,
beyond the point.
Have you ever had carrots and cabbage?
Well, answer the question.
I'm just saying.
Answer the question.
What?
Answer the question. How would I look to you?
You would look really bad.
Right. And then that'll make you feel some kind of way.
Well,
right? Not only will you feel some kind of way, you'll start withdrawing from me. And you're wondering, well, why is she continuing to do stuff that I asked her not to do?
Okay. Well, look, we're going to come right back after this commercial break, and we're going to talk more about effective communication in relationship and some questions that you can ask each other right here on Beyond the Vows. with deep questions effectively. Sometimes deep questions can scare you because you don't know what's going to come out of the other partner's mouth or what they're going to ask you if you you're prepared for it. So, like I said, the disclaimer is these are not what we may all do all the time or what whatever works for you. We're just going to give you some suggestions, things that and everything is about timing. Okay, especially when it comes to talking about something that's real deep. Timing is everything. So you got to pick a time when there's nothing going on. No phone calls, no family, no children, no distractions or stuff like that. And you would say go to a neutral place. Hey, this, we could go to the bedroom. Or why don't we go outside and take a walk? Or what do you think about that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, like, there's something in the Bible that God talked to Adam in the cool of the night. Anybody said?
I thought it was the cool of the day.
Cool of the day. And I thought that would be God was already upset because they had ate from the tree. Mm-hmm. So God had to wait till he was cooled off before he asked Adam, "Where you at?" I'm using that as an analogy. It's best to talk about things when they're level headed. If you said earlier about a safe place, we can do that. So what I saw, it said that when you're ready, you can follow these practices. One is, like an opening line. This is what I was talking about earlier about icebreakers. So like let's say we were talking about something with the kids, and then the next sentence that comes out of one of our mouths is, "How do you feel about such?" Which means you just totally went off from one kind of conversation to another. It's got to be, it got to kind of lead up to stuff.
I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I'm not in agreement with it. The only reason why I'm not in agreement with it is because, I wouldn't know. I'm just talking about for me. I wouldn't know what to bring for an icebreaker because I'm just going to talk.
No,
that's just me.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, you look at what's happening previous to something that you want to say to somebody.
I understand, but I would never be nasty.
No, not even being nasty. It's just, it's got to be everything to everything. They say everything there's a season.
Right. I mean, I understand that everything to everything there's a season, mm-hmm. and not only a season, it's the delivery as well. I understand all of that, but there's got to be a time that it has to be dealt with, whether it's today, tomorrow, next week, or the next 6 months.
Right.
There has to be time, and I guess for me, because like I said, everybody's different. Everybody has to take what they can and try to figure out how it best suits them and how you can make it better for whatever relationship that you're in. But for myself, I'm the type of person, and I'm just using myself as an example because I can't give an answer that'll be generalized for everybody. I can only go by me. So you can understand where I'm coming from. Me, I'm the type of person, I don't like to hold on to stuff and not talk about it because it'll affect me more. And I like to be able to put it on the table, deal with it. And then after I put it on the table, it's the responsibility of the person that it's delivered to and the person that delivered it. It's their responsibility to say, hey, well, I didn't know that you felt that way. Well, why don't we do something about it? Let's do this, and someone told me that I'm always trying to solve problems. I just like unity. Because where there's unity, there's strength. If there's no unity, well, there's no strength. So for me, I just like to go ahead and do it. I don't like to sweep stuff under the rug because what happens is, for me, I can only speak for me. I can't speak for nobody else. For me, if it's still there after a month, I don't operate very well like that.
So what I understand what you're saying, that it has to be dealt with. And my focus is when you have to deal with it. And
So-
making sure that
So let me
you
ask
know
you,
they
when
can't
is
be
it-
combative or anything like
I
that.
understand,
You
but
know,
when is the best time for
you're not-
anybody?
I'm just. There's never really a critical time or best time
Mhm.
to do anything. I'm just talking about how to get there without it being confrontational or anything like that. Like since somebody you could be at the dishwasher, you know, the dishwasher, you know, and ask a question like, you know, hey, what are what are your dreams? You know, you're doing this job, and you know, another couple may say, you know,
Well, what's
what
wrong with
what are you talking about?
what?
You know, I'm saying there's nothing wrong. I'm just saying effective communication and just talking. And the more you talk, the more you can learn about.
So when is a good time to tell the audience? When is a good time to talk about stuff? When? Because and I'm not trying to cut you off and all of that, so I apologize if you feel that way. But what I'm saying is, that's you're talking about communication, right?
Right. And what I'm talking about is you have to communicate. But I'm just trying to focus on how you get there. You don't have to say, well, I guess I'll wait till 4 o'clock to talk about what I want to talk about. Okay. If that's how you want to do it, you still have to have preparation when you want to say something, I believe, to like, if I want to ask you something, if there's something I've been thinking about all day long, I want to make sure I deliver it. You were talking about like the delivery. So I just feel like an opening line helps to kind of cushion whatever it is you have to talk to.
So
and not
you're
everything
saying-
you talk about has to be a bad thing.
So,
You know what I'm saying?
so you're saying it's your suggestion that everybody do the same thing.
I said whatever works for whoever. It may not work for everybody. Okay.
Mhm.
I'm just saying these are things that should be tried because I you know, like I say, you want to say something and talk about something when there's no distraction, so each person can hear what the other one is actually trying to say, and you can't hear what the other person is saying if you have distractions and stuff like that. So I'm just
what if
saying, you got to
upset?
set the stage. I would say that's the wrong time to talk
bring up
about
something.
anything when you're upset, because that
Now,
could
I
just-
do agree
Yeah.
with that. If you're upset, then you should wait.
yeah,
But
that can
it's
go
still
left.
about the whole delivery, because if you're upset, like say for instance, I use myself again. If you're upset by something that I said or did, then it wouldn't be feasible for you to come to me in the spirit of anger, because you're already upset,
Right.
and you should not say anything.
And you can't hear when you're angry.
Right. So, but let me ask you a question. But do we do that anyway?
Yeah, of course.
I'm talking about the audience.
Yeah, of
All
course.
of us
We-
do
you know,
that.
and we've all done that. I said nobody is perfect.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I-
It's
I'm-
trial and error.
Right.
You gotta
Right.
and you gotta do what works. And repetition is the key. Repetition is the key. You know, if you know this thing's not gonna work, let's
I
try
need
it another
I
way.
need to ask you another question. So you're talking about planning time to talk. Well, how can
No. I'm not saying planning time to talk. What I'm saying is when there's time to talk, when you want to say something, you know, it's got to be. You got to look at your situation, your environment. You know, 'cause like I said, everything we talk about does not have to be negative.
Right.
You know what I'm
So
saying?
my thing is, I,
And it helps with you, and it helps with the delivery. Like I said, there shouldn't be any distractions
I just feel like
or any of that kind of stuff.
I just feel like I want to be free to be me. You
No,
know what
I'm saying you can be you. What I'm saying is people
You can.
There's just a way you have to. There's the way you should approach anything without feeling like you're not free or you're not being yourself. It's the thing of being considerate of the other person, and if you know them, you'll know if you come off a certain way, this is going to happen.
Well,
if I come off a certain way, that's going to happen. And then again, I say, everything we talk about does not have to be a negative. You know, it could be just a life question, or I've been really thinking about my life and where I've come from, and where I'll be. But if you're doing something else, that for me, that would be the wrong time. Because if you're engaged in something, okay, and I just stop you out of what you're engaged in and get you to focus on what I'm asking you or what's going on me, I think that's inconsiderate. Because you got to look at, for instance, my uncle just passed yesterday, okay, and it would have been the wrong time. I'm devastated. My uncle's gone. That would be the wrong time. Like if you had something on your heart that you really want to talk about, that was going to be deep, and you started asking me about it or talking about it, I'd be like, I just lost my uncle. Can I grieve? Or you know what I'm saying? That's my whole thing. It's not about when you talk, it's how you prepare to do it. You could do it in that moment, but it has to be, whatever is done has to be talked about. But I'm just saying how we do it and be effective, where you still walk away in love. You still, whether if you're not married, you walk away.
I understand.
No hurt or
I
nothing
understand
like that.
what you're saying. That may work for you.
Yeah, but go.
That's all I was going to say.
Oh, I'm saying so. So you can use the opening line. The other is set psychological boundaries. Check that out. So it says, don't interrupt your partner when they're talking. Avoid playing therapist. That's the big thing. We try to fix each other. People try to fix each other. Like they know how you should, respond to something, how you should act to something, and basically really giving unsolicited advice. Our job is just to listen to each other, be apathetic with, what's being said, and sometimes try to see things from their point of, how they're coming out with it. So, because like you said before, you can't assume what your partner is thinking. So the other is you ask open-minded questions. Okay. Like, what goes through your mind when I do such, or what goes through what do you be thinking about when you do a certain thing, this, that, and the other. And it's just constantly getting to know each other. Stay curious about your partner. The goal, I believe, in marriage and any relationship is to know your partner better. And the better you agree with that?
Oh, yeah. To
know your partner better, and the more you know about your partner, the more smoother things can be.
But it's hard to. I'm just saying that. I understand what you're saying, and I use this as an example. At work, we have different papers, right? And different papers we have to give to everyone, because we have to base it on case by case, right? So in a basic papers that we give out, they have like instructions, they have like policies or updates or stuff like that. And just because there's an update up there, it doesn't mean it pertains to you. It means it pertains to the person that we're trying to convey something to, right? Mm. So it's important that we as men and women, that we understand what we have, right? And I understand what you're saying, and having those things that or trying those things is one thing, and trying to see what works best for your situation is another thing, right?
Mhm.
Right. So that's not something that we should. um I guess what I'm just trying to say is that I know, like, some things may work, but we have to do, just like you said earlier, things that'll be best for us. You as an individual, me as an individual, us, period. When it comes to the communication part, audience, you have to know what's best for you, and then act accordingly, but never to the point that you want to make someone upset or angry or anything like that. It's not about making somebody angry. It's not about making somebody upset. A lot of times, I really do think it's the understanding of the other person that you're trying to convey to. But the thing about it is, it's like, give me a chance to understand. Don't you said earlier, don't have judgment. Then we need to give each other some form of grace to help them to understand what's either being said or what's being demonstrated. Sometimes you need that.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Well, the other thing is, like I said, keeping you cool and check your expectations. Not every conversation has to be profound. You know, even the most mundane, conversations can still have value. And but that being said, but the simple act of sharing, that that can become the glue that really keeps people together.
So you think
Simple as just the fact that we're sharing
so?
with each other on things that are going on can help people to be more in love. I think.
So how? So how? I mean, so I'm trying to figure out what you're saying. So, um, just say for instance, I want to have a conversation, right? And I got to think of an icebreaker just before I say the conversation. That's what you're saying?
What I'm saying is, you don't always have to just.
Because sometimes,
you just have to look at the situation
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but it's like sometimes you just want to just talk. It don't have to be about anything. You can say, you know what, those greens the other day that we had were the best greens, remind me of my grandmother. You know what I'm saying?
I mean that's fine. I think I'm more talking about deep conversations. Deep conversations need to be thought out. That's what I believe. I think they really need to be thought out.
But do you ever think sometimes when it comes to deep conversations that it's ever going to be addressed?
I'm saying if you prepare either way, every deep conversation can be handled. But I'm just saying it's how you get to that deep conversation. It's got. I just feel like there should be some preparation. It's almost like a person with Tourette's just blurting out stuff, and you'd be like, "What in the world? Where'd that come from?"
I just think when you love somebody, and when you really love somebody, I mean truly love somebody, you don't have to have a pomp and circumstance just to have a conversation. And it's when you really love somebody, and when you're in love with somebody, for real, you can come and you can talk to them. Just like Jesus doesn't demand for us to come to him a certain kind of way. He said, come as you are. You can be butt naked, don't matter.
Right. We can't put ourselves in his category because
but I'm saying,
he is all knowing, all forgiving, and he is not in the flesh. We can be in our flesh.
That is so true. But it's like You got to try to conjure up something before you make a conversation, whether it's, a deep, I'll use your words, a deep conversation. Like if I need God to do something for me, I just talk to him. I don't have to say, well, God, the other day I cast out devils in your name, and the other day I healed the sick. Now, God, I need you. No, God, look, you know who I am. You know how I feel. God, la 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 la. You know what I'm saying?
Because he already knows it before you say it. We don't know it before you say it.
I understand. But then, like I said earlier, it goes back to love. When you love that person.
But I'm just saying, it doesn't mean you don't love that person. I'm just saying, be considerate. And I would say, guys, if something is really, really, really deep that's on your heart that you have to discuss, and that there's no way around it, you got to deal with that issue. All I'm saying is prepare your spouse, prepare your partner, prepare your friend. Somehow, just don't blurt it out. You know what I'm saying? With no notice, without no jelly, or take me out on a date, what have you. I'm just saying, prepare conversations so they don't go sideways. That's all I'm trying to say. Okay. So look, there's we got about another almost about 2 minutes. So sharing some things to know about your spouse or about your partner, like for instance, simple. These are fun questions. Like Maria, if you won the lottery, if we was playing the lottery, if you won the lottery, what would you do?
Pay bills.
Huh?
Pay bills.
Pay bills?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. What's the worst fashion trend that you ever followed?
Not sure.
You never followed no fashion? I mean, stuff like...
I'm not really...
I followed that Jerry curl back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
You remember the Jerry curl? If you had a superpower, what would it be?
To disappear.
Why would you disappear?
Because sometimes I don't want to be in places where I am.
Huh?
Yeah. Sometimes I want to be somewhere else.
Oh, I thought you... So, okay. Most people want to be invisible so they can be in places so they can see what's going on.
No.
And,
I'm not even interested in what's going on. I just want to be somewhere else. So if I had superpowers, I would be in a place where I think it's a whole lot of peace and water and serenity and love, and I would be right there. That's what I would be.
So what would your costume look like?
Nanya.
What?
Nanya.
I would love to be Superman because I like to do a lot of things. I like to have that strength to do it and speed to get there to do it. So, but anyway, guys, we thank you so much for joining us here on Beyond the Vows. You can check us out at beyondthevows.skstv@gmail.com. beyondthevows.skstv@gmail.com. Check us out. And don't forget, check out deathhope.org to see some of these great kids. All right. Well, listen, we'll see you next week. We'll have our special guest, Pastor Byron Collins and First Lady Collins will be with us, and we're going to have some fun next week. We're going to talk about some good stuff. Anyway. So anyway, we'll see you later and join us then.
Some kind of way. Some kind of way. Some kind of way. Some kind of way. Some kind
You are putting on blast because you don't answer.